Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I hope we are in a good condition and good mood as well. Alright, first of all, I would like to say thank you for all of you who had been joined in this meeting room. And I would like to say thank you for Ms. Nita for giving us the opportunity to present our presentation and this material. And before we go to our discussion and presentation about the article review, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is ANDINI sama Afifa, and my students number are 2021222033. And today I would be your moderator for this presentation and discussion. All right. And next slide, please. Right here are the members of Group 6. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that we are from Group 6. And here we are going to discuss about the article review that we have been discussed. And this is the members of Group 6. There are which are SALMA, BELKIS, Raisa, Janu, Afifa, WIDYAWATI, ERIKA, FEGI, and ANDINI sama Afifa, myself. Next slide, please. And this is the sub-material or the material that we will discuss for today discussion. Okay, without any wasting any of times, let's move to the first material, which is the article identity, and it would be explained by Raisa. For Raisa, time is yours.
All right, thank you for the moderator to giving me a time to explain this material. For the first material, I want to explain about the research identity. So here are the title of our research. The first is the correlation. The title is the correlation between students' reading habits and their reading comprehension. So here are three authors of this research. The first is Fitri Dewi Sartika, the second is Nurul Afifa, and the last author is Yantri Anggraini. For the authors' affiliation, all of the authors are from Batu Raja University that located in Batu Raja, Indonesia. For the journal's names, it is Journal Basis, Volume 7, Number 1, April 2020, and page 207 and 216. So for the next material, I want to explain about the abstract of this research. Based on our group discussion about this abstract has already explained all of the content that will be discussed in this research. So for this aim or the goals of this study is to observe on the correlation between students' reading habits and their reading comprehension of 11th grade at SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur. This research used the correlational research and used questionnaire and tests to collect the data. For the questionnaire is to measure the reading habit, students' reading habit, and for the test is to measure students' reading comprehension. For the population that used of this study was all the 11th grade students of SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur in academic year 2018 and 2019 were 124 students, and took sample by using purposive sampling were 64 students. So for this research, author also said that they was found the significant point of this research. It can be said that this research is matched on the rules of correlational research because there was correlation between students' reading habits and students' reading comprehension. So that's all that I can say. I give next to the next presenter. Thank you.
All right, thank you to the presenter, the first presenter, I mean. So today I'm going to review about research background. So in this section of this article, explain the general information that, please, next slide. All right, thank you. That's stated based on the result of a survey of international institutions engaged in education. Interest that state that interest in reading, the population of Indonesia is far below Asian countries. Indonesia seems to have a lot to learn from developed countries that have a fairly high reading tradition. Japan, America, Germany, and other developed countries whose people have a tradition of reading books so rapidly its civilization. In Indonesia, this habit has not been seen. So complaints about students' low reading habit cannot be said in the school concerned, but this must be returned again to the habit of reading when students are still kids. Reading activities need to be accurate or accustomed from an early age, namely from children to recognize letters. This article also stated that there are so many advantages that the students can absorb from reading habit. So this article stated based on JAG 2008 that the advantages of reading habit, one of them is reading habit help the mind perform effectively, while reading comprehension pass a very complex process that involves components, processes, and the solution for the problems faced to improve the comprehension among the learners. So the fact shows that school final examination question or UAS mostly requires student understanding in finding and determining the main thoughts, main sentences, and so on. So without the ability to read comprehension, it is impossible for students to answer these questions. So therefore, for that reason, in this research, there was to find out a correlation between student reading habit and their reading comprehension. So based on our group discussion, it is clear that the research background is a little bit of inaccurate. Why? Because there are no reviews that this research has been studied by several researchers before, or we can call the gaps. However, this article is well stated about the background of the research and the hypothesis or objective article with clear and briefly. So I think that's enough for me. I give it to the next presenter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Salma, for the opportunity. Today's presentation, I will explain about research objectives. Next slide, please. All right, the first, to find out correlation between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. And the formulation of the problem, the research was to find out whether or not there was any significant correlation between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. Next slide, please. And the last material from me about research framework or theories. Next slide, please. The theoretical framework of this article is correct because the theories or research framework introduces and describes the theory which explains why the research problem under study exists. Nielsen 2012, habit is behavior that has been repeated until it is become less automatic, in act without purposeful thinking, largely without any sense of awareness. Silitonga 2015, edit that read is to understand and grasp the full sense of such mental formulation, either with or without vocal reproduction. And according to Sutarno 2006, a person who has a reading habit is that the person has become unaccustomed to and processes for a long time in his life, always using a part of his time to read. Indicator of reading habits, the writer adapted from Saifuddin 2015 and Rahayu, Winoto, and Rahman 2016. And writer modified as follows. The first, frequency of visiting library, frequency of reading, time to read, the purpose of reading, and the last, type and number of book. Hamida 2016 said the students can get knowledge from the text that they read. All right, that's enough from me. For the next material will be delivered by Salma again. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the next material about a research method. Next slide, please. All right, so the first one is research design. This study was conducted through quantitative method and the design is correlational study. So according to Waliman 2011, correlational research design is used to examine a relationship between two concepts. So this research design is appropriate with the title and the study because it is to find out the correlation between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. Also, this article explains the procedure of the study that you can see on this slide. That is the first preparation of the study, such as ask permission from the teacher, author, that is Mrs. Hani Yulia MPD and Mrs. Trisila Devana MPD, to be expert judgment or the validators of reading habit questionnaire in this study. And then give questionnaire to expert judgment to check for content. Next, we checking the number of population and samples. After that, requesting a permit to conduct a research from the school's headmaster. And then the second procedure is implementation of the study, including the first, give the questionnaire to the sample. The second, give the student reading comprehension. And then the third is try out to test the questionnaire to expert. And the last procedure, that is final step, including analyze the result of the questionnaire and the test, then describe the data analysis and give the conclusion as the answer research question. And the last is construct the research report. And next slide, please. All right, for time and place of the research. For the time of the research was held on 11 February and 20 March 2019. And for the place is in SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur, yaitu berada di Sumatera Selatan. And for the population was taken from 4 class of 11 grade of SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur, academic year 2018 and 2019. So in conducting the study, this article used all students of 11 grade IPA as a sample based on certain considerations, including the first, target of sample in this research is 11 grade students. And the second one, advice that obtained by the writer of this article from the proposal supervisor. So based on consideration about, this article used technique of a purposive sampling to choose the sample. The sample is presented, in the table on this slide. That you can see from 11 IPA 1 is 30 and 11 IPA 2 is 34. So the total is 64. Next, for the technique collecting data, this research or this article was using questionnaire and reading comprehension test, where the first questionnaire were made to measure the 11 grade student reading habit. So in this article have been explained before in the research framework. Indicator of reading habit adapted from Saipuddin 2015 and Rahayu Winoto Rohman 2016 as follow. The first, frequency of visiting library. The second is frequency of reading. And the third is time to read. And the fourth is the purpose of reading. And the last is type and number of book. So this questionnaire is 15 statement that is divided into 25 questions was appropriate for research and 25 statement the writer used to 20 valid items. While for reading comprehension test is used to collect the data of student reading comprehension. The test of reading comprehension is an objective test in the form of multiple choice tests consisting 30 items. So before giving reading comprehension test, this article validated the item test by tryout in class and used 25 valid item as a test. So those techniques, based on our discussion, based on our group discussion, the data or the collecting data is appropriate with this research design because questionnaire and a test are instruments of techniques collecting data in correlational research. Next slide, please. For the last is technique of analyzing the data. So for the validity of the questionnaire, this article used expert judgment as validator. So the questionnaire of reading habit consists of 25 items to 30 non-sample students at SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur. So the validity of the reading task was analyzed by the SPSS 21.00 program to know whether the test item valid or not. This article concludes two hypotheses. So the first one, if the critical value, or we can call R obtained, was positive and more than R table, it means that the item was valid. And the second one is if the critical value or R obtained was negative and less than R table, it means the item was invalid. So the result of the validity of the study was seen in this table on this slide that you can see. Showed this article used 20 items for the research instrument. And then for analyzing student score of reading habit questionnaire, This study used a ranking scale questions or Likert scale, where respondents answer to the survey. The participants are allowed to choose from either a pre-existing set of this common answer. And the result that you can see on this table on this slide. All right, for the next one is analyzing the student reading comprehension. So this article used the following formula that you can see on this slide, where S is a student score, and for X is the number of correct answer, and for the Q is a total of questions. In addition, this article used the score range and criteria. It was shown in the table on this slide. So the last for the correlational analysis was used to find out the correlation coefficient of variable X and variable Y. The writer used Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. So this article also used the SPSS program, and the level of correlation can be seen as Janu 2009 stated that general coefficient correlation show in the table on the slide. So I think that's enough for me. Thank you. I give it to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you for giving time and opportunity to explain about the findings of the article. Next slide, please. The result of reading habit questionnaire score using statistical and service solution program, or commonly called SPSS, question to know the highest score, lowest score, mean and standard deviation of the score. We can see at the table 3.7. There are 4 students who categorize very high level, and then there are 28 students who categorize high level, and then there are 28 who categorize average level, and then last there are 4 students who categorize low level. The result of student score of reading comprehension using Pearson product moment formula is statistical and SPSS expression to know high score, the lowest score, mean score, and standard deviation of the score. There are 7 students who criteria very good, and then there are 12 students who get criteria including criteria good level, and then there are 40 students who the criteria fair level, and then last there are 65 students who criteria poor level. Based on the finding in the study, the writer found that student reading habit was in high category because the mean of the student reading habit points was 60.89. Based on the result of the student's reading comprehension, the writer got the student's mean score 56.93. So it meant that the 11th grade student of SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur academic year was in fair category in reading comprehension. The writer could find that there was correlation between student reading habit and their reading comprehension of the 11th grade and at SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur, which was in moderate correlation. It means that the reading habit is not only aspect influence the level of reading comprehension, but there are other factors that influence students' understanding of reading comprehension can be influenced by several factors. Next slide, please. Statistical data analysis, the coefficient correlation. Use SPSS Pearson product moment correlation coefficient analysis to find out the correlation coefficient of independent variable student reading habit and independent variable their reading comprehension. The first, the coefficient correlation is 0.555 with the level significance 0.000. The second, positive and significant correlation between student reading habit and their reading comprehension. The third, the correlation is the medium in terms of correlation coefficient, 0.5, and the correlation level of significance, 0. Less 0.05, and then that HA is accepted, and if HO null hypothesis is rejected. We can see that on the table 4.2 result of the calculation. Like this. Okay, that's enough for me. Thank you very much. Back to moderator.
All right, everyone. Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for the previous presenter. But first of all, everyone, I really apologize, but we have to re-enter the room because the room is limited. So you may leave the room and then come again in the new link or the old link. We will give you further information in the group chats. Sorry for the inconvenience, but you may leave we continue our discussion. Thank you. All right, thank you everyone for re-entering the meeting room, and we are very sorry about the inconvenience. And let's continue our discussion and presentation today. And for the next material is about the conclusion. And yeah, for overall, I would like to say thanks for overall presentation and presenters who have been explaining the materials very clearly and great. And here comes the conclusions. And in this article, I mean, the writers or the researchers has been explained the conclusion really well, and really they explain it very clearly that we can understood enough. And based on the result of the data analyzing, it can be concluded that there was significant correlation between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension of the 11th grade and at SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku 3 Oku Timur in the medium level. Please, next slide, please. Right. And based on this result, not all students who got high reading habit score got high score in reading comprehension and otherwise, but it is because of another factor that influenced the level of reading comprehension, which are internal factors, which is from the students itself, like students' intellectual, students' language skills, psychological environment they're in, and experience they have been experienced, right? That have been they have, all right. And the next factor is external factors. It can be from the facilities that provided at school and time provided in learning English per week. And the result of correlation coefficient R between reading habits and reading comprehension was 0.555 with the level significance 0.000. And the correlation is in medium, and the correlation level of significance was 0.000, less than 0.05, which means that the research alternative hypothesis was accepted and the null hypothesis was rejected. And then there was positive correlation and significant correlation between students' reading habits and their reading comprehension. Next slide, please. And according to our discussion or group discussion, that this study was conducted to find is there any correlation between reading habits and reading comprehension in a particular student's level, or in this case is in 11th grade at SMA Negeri 1 Madang Suku Oku Timur. And however, we have found some weaknesses as well as strengths in this study. For the strength is the first strength is from the title itself. It is not more than 15 words and was clearly explained about what would be their tested and clearly informative enough for the readers. And from the author's identity, it's all clear and were written with their affiliation or institute. And then from the abstract, it was explained the goals or objectives in the study and how they collected and analyzed the data. And then the design that they've used for this research, it has already appropriate with the goals of the study. And this study also using lots of reference, which is very important in doing research or doing this study. Okay, but therefore we also found some weaknesses, which are the abstract. It's only written in English. A good research study, it should be written in both language, okay, English language and then Indonesian language. If this study or if the research study was published on Indonesian journal. And then the next weakness is there are no benefits explained in the study. The authors or the writers maybe have explained about the goals or objective of the study, but we don't clearly see enough the benefits that this study can give to the readers. And then there are no scatter charts included in the study, which can be confusing for the readers to know where are their correlation was arah dari korelasinya mereka ini tuh mengarah kemana. Jadi agak membingungkan apabila tidak ada scatter charts seperti itu. And then there is a writing error in the comma, or there are some mistakes in writing a comma in the numbers included. In this study, they wrote comma as in decimal number as a comma, not point, and it was very sangat berpengaruh apabila kita menulis angka desimal dalam bahasa Inggris seperti itu. But overall, this study has proved that there was a significant correlation and positive correlation between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. And regarding to our opinion as students of English education, we will agree with this study because this study has proved that there was a positive correlation between reading habits and reading comprehension of the student, as I said before. And we have the same thoughts as the authors. Besides the internal and external factors of the student, reading comprehension can be influenced by their reading habits. All right, everyone, I think that's all we can explain to you about this article review, and this is the reference or the resource we use. You can check it out and check themselves by yourself. And then we would like to say thank you for your participation and attention. And we would like to say sorry if we had any mistakes. And thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For the next session, it is question and answer session. If you have any question or opinions about the previous presentation or discussion, you can freely to raise your hands and ask your question to us. And we limited the question to 3 first questioners. Jadi kami hanya memberikan 3 slot untuk penanya tercepat, tiga penanya tercepat. Jadi bagi kalian yang memiliki pertanyaan atau memiliki opini tentang apa yang sudah kami jelaskan, boleh raise hands terlebih dahulu, lalu tanyakan pertanyaan atau opini kalian. Okay. Alright, here we have 2 people who raised their hands. Okay. For the first question, maybe from Nadia. Nadia, please.
All right, thanks to the moderator for giving me the opportunity. Here I would like to ask about the weaknesses. Tadi dijelaskan di bagian weaknesses artikel ini dari no diagram scatter ya. Nah, yang jadi pertanyaan saya, tolong jelaskan apa yang dimaksud diagram scatter tersebut. Nah, kemudian apakah si diagram scatter tersebut memang wajib harus selalu ada dalam setiap correlational research, karena sehingga kalian menyebutkan kalau di weakness artikel itu tidak adanya diagram scatter gitu. Apakah dapat dimengerti?
It is clearly accepted, and thank you for the question. And mungkin kami akan tampung dulu ya pertanyaan dari Nadia sebelum kami menjawab. Baik, untuk penanya selanjutnya kepada Siti Sarah, dipersilakan.
All right, thank you, moderator, for giving me the opportunity. But before that, I'm sorry because I cannot turn on my camera because I have some problem with my device. So I want to ask for this group. Jadi tadi itu kan saya mendengar kalian itu menyebutkan purposive sampling. And I don't understand about what is purposive sampling. So can you explain about what is purposive sampling? Jadi kayak more detailnya kayak gimana gitu. Is clear enough my question?
Can you repeat it again, please?
Jadi saya tadi mendengar ada yang menjelaskan, maksudnya ada yang menyebutkan ada populasi purposive sampling gitu ya. Nah, karena saya tidak mengerti apa itu purposive sampling, jadi bisakah kalian menjelaskan secara detail apa yang dimaksud dengan purposive sampling?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Siti Sarah, for your question, and it is clearly accepted. And if there any question about our presentation earlier, you can just really raise your hand and ask your question out, and we will explain or answer it as we can. All right. Before we answer this question, we would like to discuss it first. And please give us a minute.
All right. To moderator, can I try to answer the questions?
Of course, Salma, you can.
All right, thank you. I will try to answer the questions of Sarah. So according to or based on this article that is stated from Janu 2009, purposive sampling, also referred to as judgmental or expert sample, is techniques for determining research sample based on a number of specific considerations that aim to obtain the data later be more representative. So, purposive sampling ini adalah teknik untuk menganalisis data melalui spesifik hal-hal spesifik atau aturan spesifik dari si penelitinya untuk mendapatkan sampel yang terwakilkan atau yang diinginkan. Jadi purposive sampling ini bisa dikatakan teknik analisis yang tidak bisa jadi tidak dilaksanakan secara random, dikarenakan teknik purposive sample ini merupakan teknik yang digunakan peneliti supaya sampelnya itu sesuai dengan karakteristik yang diinginkan si peneliti terhadap si studinya ini. Nah, so the main goal of purposive sampling is to focus on particular characteristics of a population that are of interest, which will best enable of the researchers to answer their research questions. Such as this study, the writer used all students of 11 grade IPA as a sample based on certain consideration, including the first, target of sample in this research is kelas 11, dan kedua yaitu advice that obtained by the writer from the proposal supervisor. So it can be seen that what is emphasized to be sample is because of the consideration of certain characteristic. I mean, can you get it?
Yes, Salma, I get it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Can I answer the Nadia question?
Of course you can, Raisa, please.
Jadi sebetulnya dari diagram scatter itu dalam correlational research itu digunakan untuk untuk menggambarkan atau untuk lebih memperlihatkan dari hubungan korelasi antara variabel satu dengan variabel kedua. Nah, jadi dengan adanya diagram scatter itu dapat dilihat hubungan negatifnya, hubungan positifnya, ataupun tidak ada hubungannya sama sekali. Lalu menurut kelompok kami itu, sebetulnya diagram scatter dalam correlational research ini tidak terlalu diperlukan ya, karena diagram ini hanya untuk, yang tadi saya bilang, hanya untuk merepresentasikan dua variabel saja. Jadi kita juga tidak adanya diagram scatter ini, kita tetap bisa melihat korelasi dari hubungan dua variabel ini dengan adanya di finding yang tercantum di dalam SPSS, tabel SPSS yang di person product moment yang di situ. Jadi dapat dikatakan bahwa diagram scatter ini sebetulnya tidak terlalu diperlukan ya. Jadi hanya untuk menambahkan atau menampilkan untuk lebih memperjelas hasil dari korelasinya. Namun lebih baik sih dicantumkan ya diagram scatter ini untuk membantu readers, tapi jika tidak dicantumkan pun tidak apa-apa. Mungkin segitu dari yang dapat saya jawab. Can you get it, Nadia? My answer?
Baik, terima kasih Raisa.
Sama-sama.
Alright, thank you for the answers, Salma and Raisa. And I hope what you have explained earlier can be accepted really well by Siti Sarah and Nadia. And if there's any question or opinion, we will still have one more slot. But if there are no question or no more opinions, I think that is a wrap up. Okay. All right. Thank you for all of you who had attended this discussion, and we would like to say sorry if there are any mistaken in this discussion or in this presentation or the question answer session. And we would like to say thank you again for the question and for the answers, both from the attendee and the presenters. Thank you so much. I'm ANDINI sama AFIFAH. I'm signing out. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.